Hi, my name's Bob Greenyer, and I'm a volunteer with the Martin Fleischmann Memorial Project. So, welcome to O-Day Noon, this 14th of February 2023, where I'll be asking the question, what did Tesla know? When did he know it? So, can everyone hear me? So, hi Artifact, hi Alex de Castillo, hi Thump Hunts, hi the Vippo5, David Buttilia, great to have you here, Ken Pratt D2105K, hi Gordon Doherty, hi Corky Goss, hi 3 Cosmic Dave, Artifact, wow, Student N, we have a large quorum here and this is really, really wonderful. Thank you for taking this extra day in the week. Hi Louis Navarro. Hi, Creating Awareness. I might have said you already, but anyway, that's Starfish Troopers. That's such a great name. Love it. Hi, St. Martin 17773. And hi, Thor. So, Space Case too. And Mike Purdy and Terran Art. Excellent. Thank you for joining me here this day. So, what's happened is there's something else I wanted to get out, and in the interspersed time, some other people have looked at, the world of imagery out there and come up with a couple of very, very interesting images. And one of those is the cover for today. And I want people to look at this image and see what they can see that they think is relevant in the image, and just shoot it down in the comments there. See what you can see. In the meantime, I'm going to have a look at maybe I will have a look at bringing in some things that we talked about at the end of the last presentation, which was O-Day morning, not morning. Of course it would be, wouldn't it? So I recommend those that are watching this presentation to go and watch the previous presentation first, O-Day morning, not morning, where we learned not to expect anything for thine actions, but just because you don't get something for your actions, you should still do it. And don't be driven by expectation. And we talked about the extraction of energy from a single thermal bath, as detailed in the awarded Lockheed Martin patent, which I believe is exemplified here. And this is the opposite, in my view, which is putting energy back. So this is the mother taking from the earth to create a child, and this is the adult giving back the energy to the earth on death. And it's the cycle of life. And I argued at great length, with a very extensive PSD, that the Sothic triangle was where the energy came into the device, and the zone of single bath thermal extraction was in this center cone here, and that these things were in detail and exquisite detail represented here in one of the angels, as I'm calling them, which are likely the precursor to the cross, but of course they are taking the Sothic triangle from the Egyptian understanding of nature and taking that through to a Christian version. And so I concluded by saying, having proved that it is the Sothic triangle that goes to the center of the still calm area here, that it is the Tesla's Wardenclyffe Tower, where we have a D4D ratio, and because these are plasma balls, and there's another patent I think that he has that describes these devices, these may be phased or they may just self-organize, probably the latter. And it goes around like this, and round into a spiral, and this would ordinarily shoot off into the sky. Well, it will have the dark matter being collected from above, and the Sothic matter, the Sothic triangle below, and if we place it there, the actual structure of the tower itself is exactly the Sothic triangle ratio, but the point is above. But we know from the tombstone cover here that the Sothic triangle goes into the center here. And so if we replace the peak of the Sothic triangle in the center here, then down the bottom where the extraction zone is for the single thermal bath extraction, which is taking, like, you know, you've got a lot of energy between ground temperature and minus 273 degrees centigrade. And the colder that gets, the faster the energy diffuses from the outside. And we saw this demonstrated in Henk Uren's Vega experiment in one of the first two videos that we shared, where it goes pitch black and then the surrounding thermal equilibrium brings energy in. And that would be concentrated up here, and that would be converted into other photons, in my view, or electrons, whatever. I believe that's the way it's working. And if you kept water flowing through there, then it wouldn't get too disrupted because it wouldn't pull the matter apart. I would prefer to use water or some liquid. Others have suggested that mercury might be involved. Well, whatever. But you don't want to destroy the matter entirely, as Eugene Podklevenov did when he had a superconducting structure that he span and created a disruption beam below it. Okay, so those were the arguments, and I'm going to, and you can't see a thing, can you? Oh dear. Stop the share screen, sorry. Okay, let's start that again, shall I? Edit that bit out. Right. I was talking about this, and in summary, you can imagine what it was. Just put the slides in there that you had from the previous presentation. So, I recommend people go and watch Morning, Not Morning, if they weren't here for that on Sunday, the 10th of February, I think it was. And so we're back in the room. Okay, so essentially we have the Sothic triangle going into the center here. They're still calm here. And I talked about the Bhagavad Gita, and don't do things just because you're going to get reward. Don't expect a reward, and do the things that you can do. That is your duty. So that is what we're doing here. And I talked about the mother extracting energy from the world and making it into a child and making it a baby, and goes through the arc of the life to an adult that then dies and returns the energy to the ground. And I said that this is how I see this. This is the land of the living, this cross beam across here. These are the cohering vortices represented from the side, but they are from top down. We'll talk about that more later. And this is the sort of maker. This makes the person who goes through their arc of life, and then at death it's given back to the earth. And there we have it. And so I talked about the Sothic triangle here. Obviously the Coptic Christians came after the faith of the Egyptians, but they carried forward this Sothic triangle into their artwork here. And I'm saying that this part here and this central little nook here is where the disruption occurs, or the single bath thermal extraction, this action at a distance. And that the Sothic triangle here itself is in the Tesla's Wardenclyffe Tower, and we have the D4D ratio structure at the top. We have this vortex that goes around like this. This will create, in my view, a dark matter collector above, but you don't really see that. And then the Sothic triangle is the exact ratio of the tower structure here. But the point is above, and we derived from the work of the Coptic Christians here that the Sothic triangle goes into the center point, the still calm. And I'll just talk a little bit more about that with reference to the other slides. But anyway, so we have to locate this in the center of the D4D. And if we do that, we end up with this. And that means that the entire Sothic active area is within the casing of the device, but also that down below the area of single bar thermal extraction is below ground or deposit. It could be extraction or deposit, but extraction if you want to, you know, create energy and then broadcast it or whatever. So I would suggest having a liquid down there. It doesn't necessarily need to be a liquid, but matter will kind of like, you kind of want something that's able to, it's basically kind of like an event horizon for the chi energy in the matter. So if you have matter that can't move and you're only extracting energy from it, it'll eventually fall apart. It'll disintegrate. It'll still give you a lot to play with, but it'll eventually disintegrate. So you don't want that. You want to have maybe some liquid that can then slosh around in a cavity, or some mercury, let's say, some other liquid, and that will be able to move around in there, and the things that have had some of their chi energy removed will be able to move to a different place, and you will be able to extract chi. It will be able to regain its chi from another area that is not within the event horizon, and the other area it can regain and come back in. A flowing stream would be ideal, and then you know, you would have a river or something. You know, an artesian well. Is it an artesian well? Am I saying that right? Something like that. You would grab all the energy you needed up to here. Okay. So it's not just Shaq Paranoff that has shown this. I want to bring another person to the table, which I've talked about some time ago. So I'm going to do that now. Okay. And I talked about this person many moons ago, and 8 moons ago, 8 months ago, it's telling me here. So I did this presentation called O-Day Mining Sweeping. And in part of that, I talked about this paper from Bogdanovich et al. From the Moscow Nuclear Physics Institute. These are not small players. These are very serious folks. I actually first shared this paper shortly after its May release on July the 5th, 2019. But I've talked about it a number of times. Here's one such time. And you can see from this slightly angle here, a beam coming down, and in this one there is a piece of dielectric in the way, and there's something on the other side. So I've actually got the paper here. So this is, again, I say the Nuclear Research, National Research Nuclear University. These are not jokers. These are very senior, extremely capable nuclear scientists. They are not doing this for any other reason than to understand the deep physics in it. And they say this produces micro objects similar, they think, to a direct monopole. So we are talking about a monopole structure. And I've talked about these various objects. This is a torus, which is black, 0 albedo. This is one that's white. This is a string with 2 light ends. And here's one changing over time. Then they showed these things moving around for 2 days after a experiment. And the experiment is DC biased pulse discharges through water flow onto a metal plate. So they observed these things glowing on the metal plate and moving around for about 2 days. They also saw clusters of these things where they are arranged in a sort of 5 and 6 type clusters, like they had 5 faces and 6 faces. So this would imply a type of buckyball. And I've said for a long time these things cluster into all the allotropes of carbon, and they can cover surfaces and so on. But on their own they look like this, and in a ball cluster they might look like this. But anyway, we're more focused on this one and how these can fractally scale. Okay, so this is the interesting one because you may or may not have clocked it, but we're going to talk about it here. There is this vortical type structure coming up here. Now, is it coming up or down? It just says here interaction of a plasmoid, which is what they're calling it, with a dielectric surface. And in this case, you actually have the barrier here, and you have a dark area on the other side, or a differently illuminated area. It says separation of the plasmoid part from its body as an object of weaker luminescence is visible on the other side of the plate lower right. So you can imagine that this is the torus, this is the glow you get above the torus, or it might be that the structure is charging the dielectric maybe, and this is producing some repulsion, so it can't come any closer than that. But its core, or its sphere of influence in the core, has moved and shifted off. Now, this might be one way of thinking about how this action can occur at a distance. This does look more to me like it's changing the optics of this area of space. And this might be speaking more to the Lockheed Martin matter wave optics, where they're saying the coherent matter waves made, in their case, they give the example of electrons, and they form solitons, and this is a soliton, and they say using these things we can change the optics of a area of space. So this might be one way in which you could achieve that. So there's another, and this is in technical physics, plasma technical physics. So, all right. So I also, about 1 year ago, I did a summary review of many of the solitons that I discussed in my last presentation. And at the time, I drew these construction lines to find this point down here. Okay, it is with that said that I'm going to organize my thoughts for what I want to say in the next bit. So, having sent out these images yesterday, or rather on Sunday, I got a couple of images back, and one of them, and let me just check, I want to give credit to the person that sent it to me. It was Bill Riley, so thank you, Bill Riley, for sending this to me, and the other image that we're going to look at as well today. But he highlighted this. Oh, look at that. He highlighted this. Okay. And I think that was a good call. So this is the first time I remember seeing this image. And this image was associated with a newspaper article. And what it was when Tesla was trying to offer a weapon to end war. Tesla inherited from his father a deep hatred of war. Throughout his life, I'm going to get rid of my image there so you can see the link. So this is on biograd.com.au, magazine, Nikola Tesla HTML. Okay. He inherited from his father a deep hatred of war. Throughout his life, he sought a technological way to end warfare. He thought that war could be converted into a mere spectacle of machines, which I think it probably will. In 1931, Tesla announced to reporters at a press conference that he was on the verge of discovering an entirely new source of energy. That's in 1931. Asked to explain the nature of the power, he replied, "The idea first came to me as a tremendous shock. I can agree, Nikola, it's a tremendous shock. I went through the same process. I can't say it was exactly the same, but really it was mortifying. I spoke about that in my last presentation. I can only say that at this time that it will come from an entirely new and unsuspected source." War clouds were again darkening in Europe on 11th of July 1934. The headline on the front page of the New York Times read, "Tesla at 78 bears new death beam." The article reported that the new invention will send concentrated beams of particles, and I've described it. It is not the Tesla Wardenclyffe Tower, although the tower could provide the power, and Jerry Vassiliadis' book shows beams coming from those towers. Now, it's not the tower, but it is this open-ended vacuum tube where you have effectively a Shoulders exotic vacuum object emitter going in there and doing pulses. of such tremendous energy that they can bring down a fleet of 10,000 enemy airplanes at a distance of 250 miles. Tesla stated that the death beam would make war impossible by offering every country an invisible Chinese wall. So the idea generated, consider it, you can go and read this in your own time, but essentially it's because it goes in a straight line and it does interact with matter. You have to go in line of sight, and this is the radius curvature of the Earth. So you get limited distance at which you can shoot when you are not in space. It's different when you're in space. I'll leave that there. So there's the full image, and blah, blah, blah. It goes down to say that he tried to offer it to JP Morgan, and he wasn't interested. And then he went to offer it to Prime Minister Neville Chamberlain of Great Britain, but he didn't want it. And then he went, the only person that would consider buying it, he sent the elaborate technical paper. He sent an elaborate technical paper, including diagrams, to a number of allied nations, including the United States, Canada, England, France, the Soviet Union, and Yugoslavia, titled New Art of Projecting Concentrated Non-Dispersive Energy Through Natural Media. Okay? The paper provided the first technical description of what is today called the charged particle beam weapon. Right? What set Tesla's proposal apart from blah, blah, blah. Okay. So there was a technical paper that went out to all of these nations. So these nations knew, and bearing in mind these were all kind of like allies at the time, all right? The only people that were interested, in 1937, Tesla presented a plan to the Amtorg Trading Corporation, which was an alleged Soviet arms front in New York City. 2 years later, in 1939, one stage of the plan was tested in the USSR, and Tesla received a check for $25,000 in 1939. Okay. So this is one of the blah, blah, blah. This is a meeting, and you can go and have a look at this. This was from July the 28th, 1980, and this is in Tom Bearden's book from 1986. In the late 1970s, there was a fear that the Soviets may have achieved technological breakthrough. Some US defense analysts concluded that a large beam weapon facility was under construction near the Sino-Soviet border in southern Russia. And this is what they came back with. They've overlaid some things, but it's from some sort of satellite reconnaissance photo, apparently. Okay, so there we go. And because of this photo, President Ronald Reagan in 1993 started the Strategic Defense Initiative. Okay, mostly because these weapons could render. Well, the point of the Strategic Defense Initiative was to render nuclear weapons ineffective. Okay, so with that being said, I'm going to get the next part of what I want to say ready for you. Okay. So he's right in saying that this thing on the left, Bill Riley, is important. And there's three areas we're going to look at. The first one is the base. Okay, so the base has a vortex going round and going round into another loop. So this is basically your sort of yin-yang that you see in a ultra experiment. It is on the base of this, and there's two of them. Okay, and you could imagine that this is, depending on its orientation, a representing a Maltese cross focusing into this center point here. Okay, so that's that. And I got this better image here. Okay, and so this has a lot more detail on it, and I'm going to put this into the PSD that we were talking about before. Okay. Now, there was one other image that Bill Riley sent me, and he says, I didn't have to pay for this one. It's right there. Before we go on to the Tesla and then come back to this image again. So we are talking about our image here that I had to pay £180 for, and has anyone found out where this is living? I think it might be in the Coptic Museum in Cairo, or I think it's in New York. I don't know, but this is the image we were basing our presentation on last time, and hilariously, Bill Riley sent me this. Yes, this is number 10. Number 10 Downing Street. And this, I think the design here is, according to this, it's 300 or so years old. And this is essentially the same as this. Yeah, go figure, right? I mean, basically you got your windows on the left and right. And you got your two pillows. Pillows? I'm not selling pillows, honest. Pillars. And as I said, I think this was a fleur-de-lis. This is one of the structures that are cohering, and that's represented by the Maltese cross there. And if we go here on the 10 Downing Street, it is literally the ring torus. It has the vortices either side, and the flux going through it is a fleur-de-lis, and it's a fleur-de-lis on this side with the pillars going down. Okay, right. And so someone's clocked it, right? So okay, great. So well done, Alex de Castillo. Now there's a whole controversy that no one has ever been able to explain why, because you would expect England in 300 years to have got this right. But there's a mystery about why the number is the number on there, and essentially it comes down to let me see. Okay, where is it? So, can you see it? Right. Number 10's door is a product of renovations. Charles Townsend, blah 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 blah. It was probably not completed until 1772. So in 1772, they renovated the door. Now let's go back to the door. The door has the cross in it. It has the cross in it that you have here. Okay. Above the door, you have this radial thing. You have this radial thing here. And so they had to put the pillars with the things either side. And you've got the illumination. And we'll talk about this more in a minute. Okay. But we have this. So this was done in 1772. So you would have thought if they didn't have a zero, that they would have maybe, I don't know, found a zero in the intervening however many hundreds of years it's been. But it's been left like that, okay? Painted in white, between the top and the middle set of panels is the number 10. The zero of the number 10 is painted in a very eccentric style, in a 37 degrees angle clockwise. I think this is incredibly important. We're going to find out probably this is incredibly important, okay? One theory is that this is in fact the capital O found in Roman's Trajan alphabet that was used by the Ministry of Works at the time. Okay. I believe this is an O. And I believe this is 1-0, and we are in O-Day. So that gives me a lot of joy. And I think the angle is important, my friends. All right. I don't think there's any errors here. I think this is exactly what it should be. Okay. So yeah, it's basically that. So we got our angels on the side. We have the overall structure here. With the cross, with the illumination coming out of the Christ center. Now, when I talked about the stillness here, I'm gonna go to the Photoshop here. So give me a second. I will go to the Photoshop. Get the right Photoshop on screen. This one here. Okay. Got all our layers there. Okay, so I need to just clarify something that might not have been clear on Sunday when I was talking about the yin-yang here and saying that this is the point of stillness. It's not the point of stillness in this projection. You have to rotate this in and out of the screen because, and you'll see why when it comes to it. But basically, if you can imagine this Sothic triangle is actually a cone, which is what it is, and there's a vortex going in. In a vortex, as you approach the center, the particles going one side of the vortex are going into the screen in this instance, and another side of the vortex are coming out of the screen. And when they get to the central point, you've got adjacent particles or particles that are in the same space-time moving in opposite directions. Okay, so that is the stillness, because they are like totally focused to a point. When it's projected like this, it isn't still, because you know this is going around this way and this is going around this way, so they both have a moment through the center, but you need to rotate it, and you'll see that when I extend what I talked about on Sunday, and you'll see that incredible beauty in this image. There's more in this information in this image than I shared on Sunday, and we're going to go through that today. Okay. So back to the point of Nikola Tesla here, and his flower pot picture. I do not think in any shape or form that Nikola Tesla left any thing to accident in that picture. I think that what you are looking in that picture is an extremely well scripted arrangement. Absolutely meticulous arrangement. Not just in the things that are in the background, and not just the thing that's been identified, but in his own posture as well. And back then, you didn't have a smartphone, and you took 500 pictures and chose the one that would look best based on Facebook. If you were trying to sell a technology, or you were trying to speak through the ages, through imagery, you would do what those Coptic Christians did. You would be absolutely meticulous about the things you had in the image and about their arrangement. And I believe that's what Tesla did in this image. It is not a coincidence of what he had in the background. I'm not just talking about the flower pot. The flower pot may be a custom thing. I don't know. I suspect it was, and I suspect he spent a lot of time very precisely ensuring that that flower pot was the shape it was in all senses of the words, and it's going to become very obvious what I'm talking about shortly. And not just the flower pot, also other things. Okay, so let me get the relevant things here in position. Okay, so I think the first one that I need to go over again is this one on the lion experiment, one of the very first ones where I came across this. And I've discussed this before. What you get with these things is one is on top of the other. So this is the below one. This is the below one, okay? This is the above one, right? It's slightly bigger. They tend to be slightly bigger because this is behind and this is in front, okay? Now, I guessed that, but then it wasn't until I got to examine this Cantal wire, and we found that the flux loop that went round, the arch that goes between the maker and the breaker, hit down on this with the calcium deposits on there, which don't exist here. And on the underside, there was no damage at all. So we know that this is the North Pole and this is the South, but it's not really. It's the North toroidal moment. It's the toroidal moment that pushes out, and this is the toroidal moment that sucks in. Let's put it like that. Okay, and so where are we so the yin yang here? You got the overall area affected out here, out here, out here, and then the central zone in this hydrodynamic magnetohydrodynamic structure. Okay, and you can see the same, but this one's the one on top, this one's behind. In this case, the other one from another line, it's the other way round. The one on the right is on top, and you can actually see it deposited, and on the back side you can see the inverse, right? So we know that it is genuinely on top. Okay, and so I just line up these things with the yin yang again. Okay, all right, so it is on top. So hopefully that's very clear to people. Okay, so why am I going on and on and on about this on top, on the bottom? I'm going on and on about it because of this. When you look at his image here, okay, and I'll bring up the where is it? Here's the overall image here. Okay, when I first looked at this, I thought, oh, someone didn't make that very well. And then I thought, no, Nikola Tesla would not be doing something by chance. He would not leave anything to chance. This is not an accident. This is exactly what it should be. And of course it is. Why do I say that? Well, when you look at the image, this one is blackened. And this one is white. This one has dimples in it, so you can easily trace it. This one is white and doesn't have dimples in it, okay? It might have dimples on the other side. In fact, I expect it does. Okay, now these have all got dimples, and these have all got dimples, and these have all got dimples. We'll come to that in a minute. Okay, this is, in my view, to show particle flux. Particle flux, particle flux. Okay, this is not left to chance at all. Not left to chance. Now, very, very clearly, this is in front of this, and you can see because it's casting a shadow. Okay, this is definitely in front. It goes round here, down there, and then goes over there. Oh my God, it's got a crossover point. I'm going to do in reverse from the other side. The white side is going round there, round there, round there, round there. Okay, this is behind. This is in front. Okay. In this work, this is behind, this is in front. This is behind, this is in front. So that is exactly right. Well done. But what is this angle? What is going on with this angle? Well, that's what happens in interaction with surfaces. And in fact, I showed you on certain yin-yang structures on the ultra experiments, the elements are synthesized coming out of or going into a little bit off to one side of these vortices. Okay, and so I'm going to show you an example of that, which was in Henk Uren's Vega experiment that I caught on the outside anode sheath. We know ball lightning was striking that. We've got the video of the ball lightning being formed. We've got the video of the ball lightning launching itself into the anode sheath, and then later, under analysis, I found the mark. So, and I've shared those in detail before. So let me just get that. It is here. Now notice, it's on one side raised and this side. Now, I think probably this accounts for the Coptic, not the Coptic, the Russian Orthodox crosses, where they have another beam across the cross, which is at an angle. I don't think that is an error. I think that is precise, and it's precise because of the science of it. Okay, so Nikola Tesla has this here, and he's got it in the right orientation. So you can see that the vector going down through the center, and for the vortex, and for this vortex here, has the vector going down, as I had in my presentations back in the day, 8 moons ago, or a year ago, yeah, with the vortex going down into this central point very, very precisely. And I believe that that is what's going on there. So you can see here. Okay. Not left to chance. None of this is left to chance. Right. So what about this point down here? Well, you probably guessed what it is already. It is, drum roll, our point of destruction. Okay. Our point of depressurization. I'm going to put the other one in there now. The tungsten. Okay. That is the point of the material coming apart. Okay. Very, very, very precise. Absolute precision was done with this particular image. And full credit to Tesla for going to the extreme levels of detail to do this. Okay. Now, next, what else can you see in this image? Well, we know that he's got down the bottom of the image 4 vortices. So this is a full Maltese cross type structure, and he's got them represented up the top on a ring. Oh my God, what are we seeing there? What are we seeing? Well, we are seeing this. Ah, dear. Ah, Nicola, what a gift, what a gift. What a gift. He is putting at the center of our D4D structure. So we have our D4D structure here. And I've got those centered on the outside of the ring. Okay. He's got the Vesica Pisces here. The Vesica Pisces chopped off here at the outside of this inner ring. It's so precise. It's so beautifully precise. And it comes down here to the point, comes up here to the point. Absolutely precise. And this is the beam coming down. This looks very similar, if you see, to the overall beam. If I can, what shall we do? I need to get rid of this one down here. That one. And we'll turn this one off. So this is our beam going down from our central structure. So that vase is not by chance. That vase. Now, it is the flower of life. Coming from the Christ center with the vortex of the fleur de lis. Are we there yet? It's so precise, Nicola. Tesla is just freaking awesome. It's so awesome. This is the fish bladder. The bladder fish. The Vesica Pisces, right? Yeah. Bill Riley sent this image on Facebook. And with no comment other than, you know, you can see it here. I never knew about this, right? Okay, so there we go. This is the Vesica Pisces. He didn't send any comment. He just sent that image, right? And I hadn't seen it before, so like there we go. Yeah. Now, to describe something else that's going on in this image, I need to show you something which completes the bulk of the review of the Coptic tomb cover. Okay? And hopefully it will literally settle this debate. This is how nature works, full stop. It gives us access to hack nature, and it has been available since when was it? The plans were sent out in 1937, was it? 1934. So he talked about it in 1934 here. No, 1931. And then there was another thing in 1934, and that was when I got the diagram for how it works. So that was available at that time. And then he sent it out to all of these people, right? And if they didn't take him seriously, the Soviet Union did. And by not very long afterwards, relatively speaking, in the existence of man, at least in this cycle, you can see that they so this was the beam facility that was under construction in the 1970s. Okay, and so a satellite image when that was available. So they started constructing it in 1970s, and when the satellite image came in 1980, this triggered the so-called Star Wars program for the catch-up of the US. Okay, so this, my friends, is absolute. This is how it is. They have the weapons. As I said in 2017, I know you. I can understand why you keep things secret. Something like this. I'm paraphrasing now. I said, but you've got a few years to come clean, and they kind of did. The Lockheed Martin patent was published, and the Salvatore Pai patents, but I said that I'm angry because they're obfuscations. They're not the truth, and they're not spelling it out. This is spelling it out. It's an image from the past. It's an image from the past, right? That I had to deduce from thousands, tens of thousands of man-hours of different researchers' open sharing of their work and experiments that we conducted ourselves and personal experiments. And to talk about it on Sunday and to have this sent to me within 2 days is a thing of great beauty. It is what it is. It is what it is. There's no other way you can really look at this. It is what it is. Look at the point of, in fact, I'm going to put the Sothic triangle on there. So the Sothic triangle's there. So the base of the Sothic triangle here, and we'll turn that on. It's essentially the point of destruction in this zone. It's kind of like what I deduced here, this sort of area here. Okay, so this is what it is. We have to accept it now. Scary part of the video, my remote viewing says something serious is going to happen, and we have to try and avert it between in 2032 to 2033, 2034. I don't know. It's in the early part of 2030s. Now, with this technology, 100% certainly, in my mind, they can change the weather. So do not believe anything that is trying to get you to do something because of so-called climate change, right? It can cause earthquakes, and it can cause volcanoes. So do not believe those things are necessarily real. The problem with the volcanoes and earthquakes, they tend to look a little bit ridiculously big, right? And they have signatures, okay, that are a little bit weird. So they're the ones to look out for. There will always be earthquakes, okay, all right. You want to kind of be living in a non-earthquake zone, somewhere where they might want to put an oil gas pipeline, but you'd have to use other methods to destroy infrastructure there. Okay, so this is not a game. Now, if you go and look at the JFK archives, Kennedy says we basically know how to control the weather. That is before he was shot, obviously. And it's in beautiful quality in saying that. And you've got the Defense Secretary of Clinton saying that many nations, or nations, do have geological weapons and they are using them. Now, if he's willing to admit that, you can bet your bottom dollar that America also has geological weapons. But he's also saying other countries have them, right? So these are unconventional weapons. They are mentioned in the 1986 book of Tom Bearden. He goes through them, but the understanding of how they actually work is the same understanding that gives us unlimited energy and frees us. Now, do you want them just to have the power to subjugate you? Is that what you want? Some phony reason to euthanize a load of people? Some phony reason to pretend the world is, ending and blah, blah, blah? No. We have to do this for ourselves. They are not going to do it for us. They want us dead. They want a utopia where they get all the benefits of this technology, but you're not there. Okay? All right? So the last part of my breakdown of this Tesla photo really settles the debate on this technology, in my view, in relation to the Coptic. Beautiful, beautiful, absolutely masterful piece of carving. I really want to get close to that thing and feel the spirit energy of the person that carved that. So it's one of my ambitions now in life, is to get close to that thing, wherever it is. Connect with the entity that did that. Because that was a work of science. It's like one of the best scientific documents I've ever seen. This here is one of the best scientific documents I think exists on Earth. And it's a bit dodgy that Downing Street is a knockoff, but maybe the guy wanted some inspiration and thought, what's the most inspiring image? Let's choose this. After all, it's running a good proportion of the world, right? Yeah, so let's have something a little bit funky, right? Now I'm going to explain why I'm calling this O-Day Noon. I don't do things by accident either. Things that I did years and years ago. I don't do things by accident. It's like, oh, how did that happen? It's such an honor. It is such an honor to be able to do this, really. And thank you for everyone, however small it is. So many people have sent me things that I don't know whether I could have concluded anything if those little things hadn't nudged me in the right direction. So thank you to everyone who's been there, encouraged this, supported this, been an experimenter, are experimenters, are going to deliver this technology for humans. Okay? And be also aware that now the cat is out of the bag. Now you can explicitly know with certainty that this is how the underpinnings of nature work. Everyone else can make nasty weapons from it. And there's a lot of stupid, evil people that will probably do that, right? The ones that aren't the controlled people that do things for theatre and to control people through fear and oppress them that way. There might just be people nasty enough to do it just for unpleasant reasons, okay? So we have to ensure that you are the people that will know this and know this, right? You kind of have a duty now, even if it's going to bite you in the bum, to go out there and get the message known. We are at the dawn of an old age. We are at the dawn of an old age, right? But we are just a few minutes. If we don't do this right, we'll get to midnight and boom. Yeah? So, deep sense of responsibility, guys. Let me get this. So, in this image, you have a full flower and a full flower, and they are facing towards you. Okay? Here, you have a half flower. Why? Why do you have a half flower? And why is the half flower bigger than the small flowers? Why? Anyone guess? Anyone guess? What are we looking at? I think the grapes just show that this is the living world and this is the fruit of life that you can have. Okay? There might be something to the numbers of grapes in there. There might not be. One looks a bit Fibonacci. The other one looks different. I don't know. I think it's just like this is the plane of the living. Okay? Yeah, grapes could be clusters. Well, they certainly are clusters. That might be a nice metaphor for it, actually. This is a scientific document, and I believe the greatest scientific document there is. So, I don't see anyone getting it. Right, maybe I can help you. This is twisted one way, and this is twisted the other way. Stuart, you get the prize. Stuart's got the prize. It is fractal. It is fractal. Yes, my friends, this encodes everything you need to know. No, Stuart's got it first. Fractal. Well done, Stuart. Oh, this is so beautiful. This is so beautiful. This sent chills up my spine. Oh, dear. Okay. So, here we have the Sothics. And then we have our Coptic. So we have the Sothic tribal from the Egyptians. We have the Ankh from the Egyptians. So you've got your dark matter coming in. You've got your everything happens. The magic happens from the cross down, and this comes down to the base of the Sothics and out to the edge of the affected zone in the vortex. So the Coptics are like so. Already. And make sure I've got all the construction lines in now. I'm going to drop those in now. Let's get rid of some stuff in the background. So yes, fractal. It's so precise, this document. It's just so precise. I mean, when I say document, I mean this carving. The most important scientific document on Earth. Pythagoras, you know, Anaximander, Thales, eat your heart out. All those Masons. No, this is the goods. This is the goods. Why is this the goods? Boom! That's why it's the goods, my friends. That is why it's the goods. This is showing you a vortex. What you do is you rotate this. So this, if I'm drawing a line through here and going around here, this is rotated clockwise. So I'm going to rotate this through the plane so that the end of the Sothic cone is facing me in the face, right? This I rotate so that the Sothic cone is behind the plane of the tablet, and so that this is, you know, facing the other way. Basically, this is the torus is here, okay, and this is the full material going through into the center of the torus, and this is the n-1 tor, and then this is the tor at the upper level with the material coming out. And as you can see, if I put in the other construction lines here, All right. And I've got one more here. Where is it? The beam and the all-seeing eye. Right. So you have the Maltese cross into the what do you call it? The Christ center. You have the center of the vortex over here, the center of the vortex over here for that ring, and you have the N ratio torus here. So this is N-1. Now, because we know that this N level tor has to have at least 2, right, to form the the N-1 tor has to have 2 to form the N tor. Then for this to be a tor, it has to also have a minimum of 2. So this is, my friends, a wheel within a wheel within a wheel. This is showing you the fractal torus structure and how it works. You rotate this one direction, you rotate this the other. Okay? I mean the Sothic cone part, rather. So you have the material sucking in from one side and sucking in from the other. And then that produces your vortex around here, and that produces your core coming out. And it comes down to the fact that they even have, like, you've got these lines, and they kind of marry up with the angles on the arch here. It's so precise. It's so precise. So it is not a surprise to me that when the nation, the Empire of Great Britain, were looking for a symbol of ultimate power for their seat of their government, they chose to rip off this work. It's not a surprise. You got your cross, you got your bit in the center here, you got your tori, and in this case the actual fleur-de-lis are rotated. But there we go. And this is 1-0. This is 1 3-tor structure. You got your 2 bits here. That makes 1. That makes a 2. Yeah. So anyway, you know. Round like a circle in a spiral, like a wheel within a wheel, never ending or beginning on an ever spinning reel, like a snowball down a mountain from Tesla's autobiography, like a carousel balloon. Balloons, where have we heard those recently? The world is like an apple, rings around the moon. Of course, it would be like an apple, wouldn't it? Because, well, what is an apple? Well, an apple is the outside of the main torus here, isn't it? Where is it? Where are we? It's the outside of that, isn't it? The apple. And we've shown that. We've seen that in our experiments. That's the apple shape. Okay, this is the lemon, and this is the apple shape of a spindle torus. Which we have made in Henk Uren's Vega experiments. There it is. So we have our overall understanding here on one side, and then we take that down as a fractal by rotating it, and we get the overall structure. Okay. Ad infinitum. So, is that all I wanted to share tonight? Maybe keep it simple. Oh, no, it's not. I have one more thing for you. Right, so let's go back to our friend Nikola Tesla with his sneaky little drawing picture. We've talked about the overlaid structure here, which is our this is our main vortex soliton. We've talked about the fact the focal point where it pulls the material in. We've talked about the fact that they are overlaid, and that's exactly what they are. We've talked about the vesica piscis and the fact that this is the flower of life, and this is the ring that goes around it. And the ring itself is, you know, the vortex ring. And there's two other things actually in this image. Oh, he's such a crafty guy. And there's probably more. I'm sure that the legs are in this position for a reason. I'm sure the hands are interspersed with it for this reason. All kinds of things. But I'm just going to do two more here. And the first is we're going to go to our image here, and I'm going to refer to this lampshade here. This is not a coincidence. It's very specifically at an angle. In my view, this is not an accident, right? It has this bit down here, and it has these angles, right? It's not an accident. The guy is absolutely anal, right? I believe, as I spoke about this earlier, that, you know, he has the thing here. Not that one. He has the thing as an angle there. Okay? It's at an angle. Why is it an angle? Because that's what the nature does. That's what nature does. It does it here. You can see it here. Okay? It does it. It's there. All right? That's what nature does. So, I believe that he put that there because of this. It is the flow. It is the flow. From the center of here round to here at an angle. Okay? That is very deliberate in my view. It's very, very deliberate. In fact, if I pull out the rest of the image here, the actual parts of, if I turn this off, I think this is probably deliberate as well. I don't think anything is left to chance here. I don't think anything is left to chance. Now, this is going round this way, and we know it's going round that way because it's this one. We know it's going on that way. We know because this one is on top of this, and that is the same as the one we showed down here on the lion experiment, one of the first ones I ever shared, this one here. In this case, this one is on top of here, in which case the flux goes from here round through the metal there and down there. That metal corner was in the center of this when I took it apart. I took this apart live on camera. You can go and see the take apart of that, so you know where it was, okay, when I took it apart live on camera. Okay, so what he did with this, with having this behind and this in front and this being black and this being white, therefore you've got your yin yang. He's got it there with the particles on one side coming in and the particles on the other side coming in, right? And what he's done here by showing the direction is exactly right. It is exactly how nature does it. It's just amazing. It's just amazing. He left this gift. It was basically like, if no one's going to listen to me, some guy who's stupid enough to do things is going to work this out sooner or later. And it would have never happened. It would have never happened. Well, maybe, but if Bill Riley hadn't sent that, and someone had to tell him, or he had to see the presentation on Sunday, whatever, and then he sent this image to me and highlighted the pot, right? But the pot isn't everything there. Now, it doesn't stop there. And I'm sure there'll be other things we can find in this image, but it doesn't stop there. He didn't just leave that little, what we call Easter egg in programming terms, for us to find. What else did he find that he told us? Well, if you look at the original picture here, okay? If you look at the original picture, This one's in front of that. His posture is showing his face at a particular angle. It's showing his face with the right eye closer to the camera than the left. With the right eye closer to the camera than the left. This vortex here, side, closer to the camera than this side. This, I believe, is absolutely Nikola Tesla telling us that the face is the same thing. He's telling us the same thing. That's my view, and I'm going to stick to it. So there. So there is Nikola Tesla's face. Okay? And he's a dead ringer for this thing. He really is. He doesn't miss a beat. Okay? He's got the full thing going on. Look at his all-seeing eye up here. Man, that dude could see stuff. I think he's better than any of the girls. Yeah, definitely. Oh, he's such a sneaky guy. He's such a sneaky guy. Look at that guy. He wasn't leaving anything to chance. He really wasn't leaving anything to chance in this image. What a beautiful thing. What a beautiful thing. Right. So Nikola Tesla, his intent for this technology was to feed the world by providing energy and to protect the world from war, to end wars. Not a war to end wars, a device to end wars. Right? That's kind of what it's saying here. Not here, but it's what it's saying. Where is it? Here. He was obsessed with finding a device in his life that could basically end wars, right? By making the weapons redundant, okay? And unfortunately, it's also this technology that can do this weird dumping energy into the far field, okay? And extracting it. Weather systems, volcanoes, you know, all kinds of unpleasant things. Stopping people's hearts, giving them cancer, all those kind of things. Depends what scale you're running this at, okay? So, what he's got here, the direction of the flux, the black and the white, the particles going, the band around the N-type torus. I wouldn't be surprised to find out that this structure isn't the right ratio with this bit compared to this bit for the fractal version of it. Okay? I would not be surprised to find that that's the case. I would not be surprised to find that these things line up in position to here and here. I would not be surprised to find that. Okay? But he's given us everything. We had everything. I knew we had everything. And this tablet for me, most important scientific document in history. Most important scientific document in history. And the British have been rubbing it in your faces all of your lives. All of your lives. 1-0. 1-0. 1-0. Or as I like to draw it. Let me get my drawing up. I must have it somewhere here. 1-0. Yeah, I need to get a hard drive. You got any questions? Now will be the time to give me them. I know lots of people have had questions and comments. I think one of the most important things for those people that are trying to build a GEET is that you can't use brass because the out of the Henk used a piece of brass and it kind of like started to go a bit soft. Now, is it going soft because of weird stuff or is it going soft because of temperature? Well, I don't know if he's got a temperature monitor that's able to go up to 970 degrees, but it went soft. So at this moment, it's not suitable. It might be because of the spin nuclei in there and it's getting affected. Don't know. I'd like to think that maybe it is just temperature at this point, but we shall find out. Okay, so what am I referring to? La la la. Well, David, if brass is going to melt, I think aluminium will. I think also borosilicate will. Maybe fused quartz won't. Check out the far left, is someone saying in Tesla's photo. The far left. The far left? Don't see anything. The far left. Don't see anything. Sorry. What are you referring to? Yeah, do not believe the alien threat. Well, firstly, as I said, you know, we know these things move around, and if you had a device that was like this and using it, there's no reason to expect you wouldn't be able to create a thrust, and you know, because of the way it works, it creates this torus, which we know causes how should we put this, things to move forward, because it does it. In this structure here, this was moving forward, right, towards the third eye. Okay, even though it's depressurizing things here, it's moving forward. Okay, this one from Alien Scientists was moving forward. So this is thank you Suhas Ralkar in 2017 for allowing me to film this in his lab with my camera and a light to the side and capture this in motion. This is from Alien Scientist. You can see it's depressurizing in front in the dome. So the reason you are seeing bubbles here is because there is a change in pressure. The reason you're seeing bubbles here is because there's a change in pressure. Okay, so that is what's happening there, and it's also happening here. Okay, all right. So this isn't actually moving forward. This was locked on the outside of a bigger ball lightning. In the same way that I believe these things are on Shack Paranovs. So he talks about it here. There is a sphere, and then it has lobes. It has lobes, and I believe around that lobe, and you can see they are even spaced, as they would be, as we've seen many, many times in Vega experiments. You can see there's a central glow here and a central glow here. Okay? So I believe these things here are on the bigger ball lightning, and these are monopole structures on there that make up the larger structure, as shown by the Nuclear Physics Institute here. So this is the overall sphere cluster, and these are the monopole structures, okay? And they are beaming out a little bit in this direction, and they're bound into the overall structure. They can't go in closer because it's formed this cluster, okay? So that you might call this, possibly, this might be the grapes that we're talking about over here. These might be the ball lightning grapes, but maybe not, right? But one could imagine that these are, like, the stem is the bit that's attaching to here, and then it's pulling energy in through that stem into making a big ball, right? It could be a metaphor, and it could be that literal. Everything else is so perfect in this. Absolutely. The beginning, the end, the wheel within a wheel within a wheel, right? It's all there, okay? Now, when these things become known, we are talking about end times. We are literally in Revelations. I can't be any clearer. You know, if you weren't religious before, maybe you need to start thinking about getting your ducks in a row. Let's put it like that. And we need to take this for humanity and not allow them to use it to abuse us. You know, we can use. I'll pull up my O-Day slide. Why not? God. Okay. The very first O-Day presentation from January 2018. Well, what I'm talking about is Prerin, the thunder god Prerin, which let's type that in here. Thunder god Prerin. Okay. Blah 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 blah. There we go. Prerin. This is thunder god, and they have all these bull lightning insignias on buildings to prevent them from being killed. And this is the symbol that they put on their buildings. There we go. Does it look familiar? Ball things with a spot that are focusing things into the center. I wonder why. Gremavota Nachi, or thunder marks, are considered by some scholars as ancient symbols of Perrin, which are often engraved upon roof beams or over entries of villages and houses to protect them from lightning bolts. Their circular shape symbolizes ball lightning. Identical symbols were discovered on Slavic pottery of the 4th century in the Chernikov culture. Let's have a look at this. They've got some pictures. What do they look like? What do they look like? Maybe. I don't know. Slavics. You've got to give those Slavics, like, I don't know. Oh, Nikola Tesla, some credit for knowing their stuff. Oh, dear. I've got some pictures. But basically, yeah, they knew what they were doing. They really knew what they were doing. Oh, my God. How do we forget all this stuff? I mean, there we go. So I've got to spend a bit more time in the Slavic countries in that area. Yeah. But it's the Vritra. Let's have a look, because they have them in different cultures. So let's look in the Hindu god. Where is it? Let's try it here. Well, basically, we are in the period of Azura, and we need the thunder god with the ball lightning to come in and rescue us from the Azura and the usurers. So we are literally at the change of ages, and it is our destiny to take. Okay, I don't know what more I can say. Really, we just got to do this. The golden apple appears as a talisman of ultimate destruction. Yeah. The golden apple. What is the golden apple? I don't know. Could the golden apple be, I don't know, the apple? The golden apple? Could it be that? The ball lightning structure? Don't know. Maybe I can type in Azura. The Asuras are in constant battle with the Devas. Asuras are described in India's texts as powerful superhuman demigods with good or bad qualities. In early Vedic culture, good Asuras are called Adityas and are led by Varuna, while the malevolent ones are Danavas and are led by Vritra. In the earliest layer of Vedic texts, Agni and Indra and other gods are called Asuras. Right. So basically, we're being, controlled by these bad Asuras, and they are deceiving us, as it's said in the Chilbolton crop circle. They are deceiving us, but we still do have a little bit time. Asura is used as an adjective meaning powerful or mighty. In the Rig Veda, 2 generous kings as well as some priests have been described as Asuras, blah, 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 blah. Anyway. Right, I'm going to look at your questions now. I don't know. Was I doing something when I started talking about rubbish? Someone also sent me this, which is a clock, which apparently says, they can't even fix it, for they understand not what it is. This is the way we live. People separately. This is translated from Russian. And the technique of past civilizations separately. Although, what is surprised to find that blah, blah, blah. Look at this. Look at that. This is the inside of the clock. You know, you've got a snake coming up here, a vortex type thing. Then it goes straight, and then it goes past the center line, and then there's another little vortex up to this little nodule here. Okay? Now, this is in Latin here, so, and there's lots of imagery. So I'd like someone, if they can find out where this is, and so we can get a better image of this, because whoever was making this was not messing around either. We have to learn from the messages of the past. We have to. I mean, to put the Vesica Pisces and everything in that one image, I mean, the guy must have just been having a laugh. He knows that this lives on beyond him. What an amazing thing. What an amazing thing. Right. Yeah, the horns on the arch. Yeah. That is one thing I'm going to see if anyone can work that out, you know. What is the horns on the arch? Now, they are arcs. They might be the way I kind of look at it, if I pull those in, right? Where's the overall shot here? It's not immediately obvious what they are. I mean, they don't even come into the center. Maybe if I actually put some real data behind it. You can see through this one. What I will say is that the extremity of which the material comes up here from the vortex structure before it turns over to the side is kind of in line with this kind of area here. So it could just be signifying, you know, the most material comes up here and then it gets sucked back into the vortex when it's pulled through the center. Where are we? I suspect it's something like that. And this is a scientific document, and that's the way I view it. So it'll be on there for a scientific reason. So let me get that. Where is it? Where is it? There. Yeah, so I'm seeing here that where that horn is there, where the horn is on the Coptic scientific document, here is the extent to which the material is able to go up once it's gone through the center. So that is a good question. Yeah, that's basically the limit. So material that gets sucked through that either doesn't make it into the vortex to start with, or that gets sucked through from this deconstruction of matter behind it. Now, I am reminded of the 1992 paper that was declassified in 2017 on the CIA's website, which was interviewing some Russians from the energetics program. And they said the technology that we can get to Alpha Centauri back in 12 years, it will take for the journey, well, at least one way. It says we can use a technology that will be the propulsion system, and it also extracts the hidden energy within matter. it also extracts that. You can go and look at it. I've either got it on my Steam it or on remote view, okay? And I remastered it. I'll share a link in this blog post back to those previous things. But this here absolutely, certainly would provide a propulsion system without, in my view, a shadow of the doubt. Okay? Now, if at the back here I had a piece of iron in the zone of the matter deconstruction, okay, in the matter deconstruction zone, the hidden energy within that matter, the chi energy, will be sucked out. And what the Russians calculated and shared in very vague terms in 1992 was that the amount of energy in 1 kilo of iron would be sufficient for the interstellar journey, and it would take 6 years to get there, and the system would provide the propulsion system. So we have 100%, in my view, propulsion here, 100% propulsion here, and an EVO can also go, say, 1/10 the speed of light. But because this is depressurizing the vacuum inside, okay, in front rather, the faster this goes, the faster the event horizon interacts with the vacuum. Okay, so I believe that this will propel you and be the propulsion system. Now, where is the best place to be in this thing? You don't know. You kind of have to arrange this so that you're like either in the center or off to the side here, maybe, or whatever. There's a zone in here, and it might actually be in the dead center, or you might want something where you sit around the dead center here, because there seems to be a little bit of a quiet zone here, right, and here. And for the record, I'm just going to dump this in here. This is this other stone, and you can see the vortex here, and this zone here. So this kind of Maltese cross area, yeah, I'm not sure you want to be in the dead center here, but you might be able to be here, or you might be able to be here. So I would probably create a toroidal-shaped craft, or a sphere-shaped craft, or a disc-shaped craft, or probably something that looked a bit like a mushroom, like the top of the Wardenclyffe Tower. And possibly, we can learn from what nature is telling us that probably the place of comfort may be here, or whatever. I don't know. You know, I don't know. If you look at this one, it looks a little bit scary. So if I take this one down here, like, it could be this zone here. I don't know. It could be this zone here. So you might have where is it? And it's whether you want the dark matter going through you, which, you know, you probably do or don't. I don't know. Yeah, it could be this area here, because you've only got, yeah, I don't know. I suspect it's maybe here. I think the here might be the where it might be safe, because you've only got a decompression of the dark matter flux here from the toroidal moment. I think you'd probably feel extremely weird here. You might lose all sense of time. You probably wouldn't age, or you might age really quickly, which is not ideal. If the vacuum is being pulled over here and pulled over here, it might be that is the right place to be, at the top here. What did the Romans say? There was a little spot at the top where the Romans thought something needed to be put. Anyway. Okay, I'm going to see if you've got any questions here. Yeah, above the reaction. I think above the reaction's right, but it is pulling the dark matter through. But it's what you want is the zone where you've got dark matter coming here and round, and dark matter coming here and round. And I think that, you know, we've got clues, I think, from this area here and this area here. I'm pretty sure you don't want to be in the center of the God-controlled power, the Maltese cross, as is shown on the necks of the Sumerian gods, right? This is not the place you want to be. No. Or it might be the place you want to be, but I'm not sure I would want to be the person to try. But with the, as we've seen, it would appear that using this one here, these what we're calling horns here, they might be the extents to which the material is pulled through. So I think probably the safe zone is here. Okay, so if I was to design a craft, it would be probably a cone shape with a thing on top, right? Now, where have I seen a ship that looks like that? Oh dear, oh, that's hilarious. Where have I seen a ship that looks like that? So Egyptian disc, tri-lobed disc. Any leads on knowing this? Yeah, it's the flying disc of the sky gods. It's on the top of the Sumerian tablet that I've referred to at length since my, I think, June the 6th, 2016 presentation in Constigliani di Asti. This is just joy. Baron Arcanus, you have literally no idea how honoured I feel right now. Totally honoured. I know I had to do this from about the age of 4 to 7. I didn't know what it would be, but it was obvious by the time I was 40. And I laid out all of the information with all of the incredible experimentalists that have been open and the people that have supported this process along the way and given their own little bit of information. And to be able to see something and be able to be true with what any experiment can be done in the future, I'm absolutely certain you can't change this. It's the way the world works, right? It will not be able to be changed. It doesn't matter if you have a very strong opinion or you write a very strong law. This is not going to change. It's not going to change. Deal with it, right? And it's very satisfying to find out it doesn't matter where you go back in time, that it's right there. But to see Nikola Tesla pulling this stunt. I mean, this is a stunt. This right here is a stunt. And full credit for him, you know. Listen to me, I've really got something. I've really got something, you know. It's in his face. It's here, yes. But what is it? What is it? So, question: what is the correct angle of the Sothic triangle? Actually, I have that roughly. I can pull it up in my 3D software, and I have some software to actually tell you the angle. So, let me do that for you. Why not? You cheeky boy, Nicola. You cheeky boy. And you scoundrels. You scoundrels. Copying this scientific document and trying to make a power play out of it. So naughty. Naughty, naughty people. Throwing it in our faces without actually telling us we didn't need to suffer. No one needed to die. Oh, Tesla's up there wherever he is in his starship somewhere going, God, took you long enough. Yum, 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 yum. So to try and maybe give you a better idea of what I was blathering on about earlier, here's a little model. Here's a little model I prepared earlier. So, yeah, there we go. There is our Angel of Doom and an Angel of Light, okay, a halo. And if I turn this off, you can see how it's represented on the on here. So, right, there we go. So we have a cone there. But the cone is the same. If you take that at, what should we say, you know, you do it at 90 degrees, it will be the same for these ones as well. So this is this, maybe you could look at it like the large scale, but then this effectively here is the smaller scale. But one looks towards you and one you need to rotate, and I can't do it here very easily. Okay, one's going away from you and one's coming towards you. One's going away from you, one's going towards you, right? You understand? Because this is rotated in the plane that way, and this one's rotated in the plane. But it's a fractal structure. So, like everything, the wheel within a wheel within a wheel is encoded in here, right? All of the ratios, the phi, the Sothic triangle, the golden ratio, you know, the D4D, yeah, it's just everything. Everything's in there. Oh, what a piece of magic. Yeah. So, okay. So, yeah, let me get answer the question. The question was, what's the angle? I think it's 5 and 9, the lengths. Okay. So, load. Recent files. Golden Sothic Mobius. There we go. No. Right. So that, I might have changed this, did I? Okay, one's bigger. That's okay. So that, I think this is the Sothic. So we'll go big here. Can you see that? Can you see where it is yet? Okay. So I have a little bit of software here, and I can maybe can I angle? There we go. Which angle do you want? This might be a little bit inaccurate. Right. So this angle is 77.33. And I'm going to go over here and we'll do the next one. No. There. And this is 25.33. To the accuracy of how I built this. It's not perfect. I imagine this is 77.33. Can you see that? I bet you can't see that. Trust me, it's 77.33. Okay. I don't think my golden ratio here is perfect, actually. The golden ratio, I think I made this a little bit rough. 72.01. It's not far off. Let's get rid of that. And the golden ratio here is 35.97. So that should be 72 and that should be 36. So you can see I've got a little bit of inaccuracy, and that might be the case also for the Sothic triangle, which is here. Is it the Sothic triangle? Yeah, the Sothic triangle, this one. So the base angle there is approximately 77.33. and that's the same for the other base angle because of the nature of the triangle. And this is a 25.33. Okay. Of course it would be 33, wouldn't it? Is that the only triangle where every angle has 0.33 in it? It's the 33rd degree. Oh my god, can't make this up, can you? Come on, it can't be true. Yeah, it might be the only triangle in the world that has the 33rd degree or the 0.33 degree. You're gonna love those Masons. I bet it was a Mason that did this. I bet it was a Mason. when did the Scottish Rites Mason form? Scottish Rites Masons. Oh dear. Scottish Rite. When did that come about? 1739. Is that right? No, 1649. There we go. 1649. 1649. And they did this door in, when was it? It was in the 1700s, wasn't it? 1700s. Yeah, definitely. It could have been the Masons that did this. Now, where did the Masons go to find this? Look at that. Look at that. I love it. Scottish rites. It's the 33rd degree. I don't. You can't knock them really, because they've given us the clues, but they must think, oh my god, you guys are stupid. We literally put it in every building and no one gets it. Even these little foot cleaners down here are the same structure. Look, this is, look, what you're seeing down here. I can't make this up, you know. This is on Edlid Scalen's book, Magnetic Current. This thing down here, I don't know if you can see it, but this symbol here, and this is the heart, but this is what's on Edlid Scalen's book, Magnetic Current. No, it's a Sothic triangle, not soothing triangle. Yeah, it's just hilarious. I'm sure there's lots more gems to be found in here. But I tried to find some other website that had decoded this, and they were giving something. Oh, look! They did mention the O being odd, and they said there was something. There's no keyhole on here. You can't open the door from the outside. It has to be opened from the inside. They were giving all these kind of useless facts about what's mysterious about this thing. This is a complete rip-off of the most important scientific document in history. This one. Oh dear. Oh dear. Don't get me started about cones and donuts. Are we having fun yet? God. So Hairy Cooker Monster lives. Welcome. And welcome discovering the Garden of Eden. You have to add the cat. Yes, the cat. What? Which type of cat? The cat from Egypt. Which electron comes from? Maybe. This is a Masonic picture. This is... Where is it? This is a Masonic picture. This is a picture made by Masons. This is Masonic art. This is a art made by a Mason. Okay, I'm going to see if you've got any questions. Our spine has 33 discs. Very nice fact, Mary Jones. I did not know that. Well, there we go. Oh, it's 4:9 ratio. That's the one, yeah. The lengths of the sides. Yeah, he died at the age of 33. He tried to tell the world. I think honestly, he went to the part of the desert where the people had this knowledge, and he learned it, and he tried to come out and tell people that maybe there's a message in there for me. You guys have to go and tell people now, right? I've done what I can. I'll still do what I can to see it delivered in any way that's positive. Cleaning waste. Reducing emissions, using berry juice. These are the kind of things that excite me. Using berry juice, or better, using excrement. So I don't know what the text is. So Riandathal is asking, hi Riandathal, he's asking what is the text over the document, this text here. I don't know what that is, and we have to find out. Absolutely have to find out. It probably says... know this and know the universe, and it would be just like really cheesy. I mean, it is a tombstone. It's off a tombstone or part of a sarcophagus or whatever. In fact, the actual art, wherever this is in the museum, it has some information under it, which is probably completely wrong. But I would like to. This is likely to be Greek. In fact, I can see an omega there, so that's definitely a Greek writing. So what we need to do is find out. Well, having said that, I think the Coptic Christians from Egypt took on Greek lettering, but it might be that it is not, actually sounding like Greek. It might be sounding Arabic. I don't know, but I think we need to find out. We need to find out where this is, get an image that we can all share without getting Getty's knickers in a twist, and then how should we put this? What should we say? Get it out there to the public. Oh, and I didn't say actually earlier. These two bars either side, which, like I said, that this gets rotated. These get rotated in alternate directions because on this level of the tor, the third tor down, right? So you got the big tor, the little tor, and then they've got a little tor in here. Okay, this has to be rotated one way, and this has to be rotated the other way because you've got etheric matter coming here into a Maltese cross, and you've got an etheric matter here coming into a Maltese cross. And so these are counter-rotated here, okay, and so that's the the fractal nature of it. Aramaic, okay, that's what it's called. I don't know. I run my life on a need-to-know basis. So when someone sends me an image and say, "Yeah, this might be related," I go, "I think you might be right." Yeah, I think it's in the Coptic Museum in Cairo, but there was a document that I shared a link to, which has a sort of a photo of a book that contains a photo of this. So my thing is maybe the Cairo Museum. If that can be confirmed, I'm quite willing to get on a plane, go over, take a photo, and I'll take it in stupidly good quality, like absurdly brilliant quality, and then everyone can have it. I've seen the PUM, and this guy is, he's trying to rename Evos so that people can't go back to the data. He's trying to rename Lena, and he's trying to pretend he hasn't got a Geet. I'm not so, and he doesn't really know how this works, but he doesn't have to do a lot of effort because it's already done for him. But yeah, so, and he's trying the similar kind of model to getting it out there. He does do the ring and the spot, like he's on my wedding ring, like it's on my wedding ring. There we go. Got a ring and a spot on there with the fractal toruses on there. I was willing to put it on my wedding ring. That's how confident I was. Then we can see it. Can we see it? Maybe not. Maybe I can see it like that. You can see it there. That is the ring and the spot, the Ra, and the fractal torus structure. Yeah, most people missed the fractal thing, and all they had to bother doing was to look at this 1,700 or whatever year old object. The most important scientific document in history. That's the wedding ring. My wife has the same motif on it. Well, from the point of view, Josh made a comment that he doesn't think X, Y, and Z. I think that people that try and demonstrate this technology, it almost doesn't matter whether they knew how it worked or not. We now know, and we can pretty much fiddle with the nuances and the problems, and that is what we have to do, and we have to work in earnest. Like I say, I think we've got about a 10-year window, and if we don't help ourselves in the next 10 years, well, I think it's basically game over. And it's not because of global climate change. It might look like that, but it won't be that. It won't be that. It'll be a fake out. There'll be a lot of fake stuff happening And everyone will go, ah, because most people can't get it. If you want to know how many people are going to be on your side, just how many people did you know, knew, and got what was going on in the recent couple of years? That's how many people are going to be able to see that something is happening, right? Okay. And that's only if they get the information. I think by getting rid of Christianity around the world, wherever they could do it, and there was much less likelihood that people would be able to grasp the importance of what is in that tablet. But you can imagine that, and this is what I was trying to say the other day. So I'm gonna try and make something a little bit simpler here, right? So if we've got our, how should we put this? If we have our if we have our little angel here, our Sothic triangle going into our D4D torus, okay? Now, that is one of these, but like I say, that is the n-1 structure. The n structure will be bigger, so you can see that there will be a disruption beam, and this will go out. Now, I don't know, but in the case of 20 micron size ones, the level of the beam predicted for emissions, but it might not be emissions, it might be pulling in, whether I don't know whether it's coming in this side or that side, this type of radiation. But Shishkin and Karol's calculates that goes to 700 meters for a 20 micron structure. I don't know how big it would be for a 10 millimeter structure, but I imagine it would be an exceptionally long way. But I think the distance at which, and that might be for the emission of strange radiation, so that would be the distance. Tesla's saying 250 miles, okay? So that might be the distance it can travel, or that might just be the distance that it's useful because of the curvature of the Earth. I don't know for certain, but it could be the length of the beam. But what I do know is that when you turn this to the n-1 Tor, this will have, if you haven't got a fully closed loop. So this is a closed loop at the n Tor level. If you've got a non-fully, this is a fully closed loop at the n-1 Tor. However, if it is, how should we put this? If this is just 2, which still makes the flux loop, there will also be a beam coming out of here and a beam going the other direction coming out of here. It will move less distance and it will have less intensity than the other one. But it means that around the device, you will have the principal beam, okay? And I would not put, by the way, I would not put an eyeglass behind the bum, as it were, of the torus. I would put the eyeglass to the side, right? The side will still have this problem, okay? It will still have this problem, but it will be less intense, okay? So I would not put an eyeglass above, because if you bring any equipment in there, you might get within the beam or within the event horizon, and it might just damage the equipment, okay? So on the side, basically, I think the range will be less, but it might still be a substantial range. So we need to use the best understanding we have to be able to ensure that the field of influence. Now, if you do what the Strike Foundation have done, which is put a sphere around the end of the point where it goes into the low pressure, then you might be able to make the sphere big enough such that it is enclosing that n-1 level, how should we put this, event horizon, okay? And that might be, like I said in my video on Sunday, I think that's the only real useful addition that I can see in their work, but it is an important thing. So someone's saying sky's not the limit. Welcome. He's trying to rectify or reconcile the Mobius. So what they say in their paper is that the Mobius strip sets up in the environment around it conditions for creating these monopole structures. Okay, now we can see on their simulation that you get charge separation. Charge separation is the necessity for producing exotic vacuum objects. Now, if you have a positive superconducting structure over here and a negative over one, that might produce a loop, right, between the two, and then the combination then produces a vector out that leaves you with either depending on the rotation, a dumping energy in or a pulling energy out. Okay, so don't expect it to be the physical structure itself allows for electricity to impact each other and produce shock waves that produce this turbulence in the charge clusters. Intense turbulence in the charge. What do they call it? Like propagation. And so when they smack together, you get all of this turbulence, and within the turbulence, you get the vortices, and the vortices set up the n-1 tors. Yeah, that's right. And then you get the tor between those when there are opposite types. They're superconducting, and then that projects a beam. Okay, so what you are doing is you are setting up the n-1 tors, which produce the n tors, and then the beam comes out, and then in that central point of the Sothic triangle, you end up with that thing going on there. That's kind of how I see it. And because it's a fractal toroidal moment, there will be substructures that then interact with this in a different way. Anyway, that's the best answer I can give to you right now. Okay. Old Mexican UFOs vids show balloon shooting out plasma balls from either side. That makes sense. They do use... Okay. They haven't... if they've got an argon jacket, I don't know. It doesn't really matter if they don't use a rod, then it's fine. It's just... Well, if Strike doesn't use a rod, then they're just using something that produces turbulence anyway. So go and look at the work from Bin Juan Huang. Okay, he's got water flowing through a tube this way, and then he's got the heated water going the other way, or something like that. So it's basically the same thing, but rather than using gases, it's using water, and he gets excess energy. It's in ICCF 22 from 2019. Maybe I can just pull that up so we can see. Let's see. Right. So if anyone wanted to know why I was, just as an aside here, why I was saying noon, well, it's because we've got two O's that make up the whole structure, and we've got flux coming in from one side and flux coming in from the other side. So that's my logic for calling this O day noon. And we are on the level. We're all on the level now. Okay, so what am I looking for? I'm looking for ICCF 22. Okay. There we go. This has been... It will be in a minute. And, oh, by the way, he created silicon. So maybe I can get his presentation. I might have actually linked that in. Let's get his presentation. Did I? Somewhere. Oh, I've got it somewhere, I think. Or maybe not this one. Okay, so this is his presentation here. Let's see if I can find a diagram. Does he do a diagram? These are bubbles. He's doing bubble compression here. And he's doing, what is he doing here? Okay, all right. He's got pipes and stuff going around. What meters Has he got a diagram there? I think it's similar. Okay, so here he's got steam going one way and refrigerant flow going the other. So in this case, he doesn't have a rod in it, but he's just got material going one way. Okay, so in the case of Bin Zhen Huang, he has an inner tube, a second tube, and then an outer tube. So this is three kind of like concentric tubes. Okay, so you can go and see that work. And what he found is that you end up with carbon and oxygen seemingly synthesized, and also you get silicon synthesized, it would seem. So that's that, really. So this is a very similar thing. And he doesn't have a rod in the center, but you could argue that the central cylinder is acting as a rod in its own way. So he's got what's refrigerant flow. Maybe I can put that in a resolution everyone can see. Well, that would be helpful, wouldn't it? There we go. Oh, okay. So this is what we got. I couldn't remember offhand. So you've got cold water that goes through here and then down to hot steam. So that's kind of like getting energy out of it. And then he has refrigerant flow going around there. And okay. All right. Well, you can go and listen to him saying this. But it's flows going in opposite directions. And he talks about excess heat at some point. Yeah. So I don't think it's necessary, but you know, being able to use random fuels is a good thing. Okay. Okay, I might call it a day in a second. The detailed notes of inventor Malcolm Bendel. Okay, all right. Yeah, so we just need any form. Like, so this would be fine, Bin Zhen Huang's. He finds it falls apart a bit, and that's because it's got copper in there, I think, because these toroidal moments will cause the spin nuclei of copper to fall apart. Maybe if you used a different element, that wouldn't happen. You know, the Geet is able to use fuel, and that's, I think, more immediate. And if it can use random fuel, that's good. So all the more the merrier, but it's best to have a good understanding of how it's really working. The reason I thought that they might be having a rod in their system is that that he refers to the rank, whatever it is, Hirsch or whatever it is, thing. Okay, you're saying it is Geet, cool. All right. Okay, so DIY projects with Chaxis. Did I enter a lodge meeting? No, the main lodge meeting was last week on Sunday. But, well, if you call it this week, maybe. No, well, you did see. I think the lodge basically that. I think certain information was able to be gathered from, you know, the Empire, the British Empire, and they thought, well, this is a lot of information. We can probably do a lot with this. I don't know if they actually made things with it, but certainly I can pretty much safely say that it wasn't the Scottish Rite people here. They might have seen the symbology and known that it was important, but they became the evil Danavas. The Vitra is probably subjugating us, and we need to use the god of ball lightning, Perun, to vanquish this demon era. And I do believe that the architect here probably was a Mason, and probably did, and almost certainly did, have access to the most important scientific document of all time, well, that I've seen. And the knowledge was known. I mean, the Slavic people also knew about Preren. You know, they knew. So, and they used the symbol of ball lightning, and it was used to protect them from evil spirits. And he's a Slavic person. So I've said for many years that I believed Nikola Tesla was building on knowledge that either came through his resonant bloodline, through the Akashic record, into his DNA and into his brain that way. He did say that he was receiving things, I think even from aliens, but I think it was probably through his bloodline. Or he just read a bunch of Slavic text when he was younger and put two and two together. And he was canny enough to, when he was trying to show a tool that was designed to end war, a weapon to end wars, to at that time try to promote it by sharing this image, which tells me that he knew exactly that he would be able to end all wars. He knew, because it would be the God's toolbox, God with a little g. And we are suffering under the terrible, terrible subjugation of this technology. And very serious people know that this works, right? Very serious people know that this works. And you can do experiments yourself with HHO, with water and aluminium in an ultrasonic tank, or just an ultrasonic tank and a light to the side. You can do this, and you can know that this is the case, just as Tesla did and deduced, or got it from what you might call divine inspiration. Divine inspiration. Okay. And this is unequivocally, in my view, what he had in his generator. As I said on Sunday, it is the Sothic triangle. It's that ratio, but it should be centered here. And because we know the Sothic triangle has here the zone of single bar thermal extraction, in my view, or destruction of matter, as I have shown in the PDFs, which is at this point down here, it would have been able to grab the hidden energy within matter. And I'm gonna get that paper up right now, because I think it's relevant for those people that might think I'm making that bit of the story up. I'm gonna get that up right now. So that would be, don't know, let me see if I've got it on remote view, but if I haven't, I'll remaster that onto remote view if I haven't already got it on remote view. I think I shared it, when did I share it? In 2017? Wow, didn't like that link anymore. Okay. All right, so they might have got rid of that. Oh, okay. No. Okay, so CIA have taken that document out, so I have actually a copy of it here. Okay. Okay, it's probably stored in the cloud, in the bit chain. Yeah, so it's on my Steam it here. So I originally link to this document, January the 19th, 2017. I'll see if it's actually still on. Okay, so I don't know whether it's still available on the CIA's website. Okay, but here it is. Now, with the experiments we've witnessed and the ash we've analyzed, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so it's talking about flying saucers and that they know, and they talk about superconducting high temperature superconductors and that they've done that. And then so we have a Mohammed's tomb here. This is a railgun type effect. And then, for example, in order to ascend in the geomagnetic field of our planet, it is necessary to create an incredibly strong magnetic intrinsic field around the saucer. Yet this is far from simple even with superconductors. But let us assume that it is possible by some means. How shall we then move in space? Well, there is a special problem with magnetic fields there. The vehicle must be equipped with additional sustainer engines, and enthusiasts were explaining away this, of course, and yes, it's a way out. Yet, would the game be with candles? Blah, blah, blah. In other words, for reasons easy to understand, many experts thought such methods of travel would be rather hypothetical than real, and then they found a solution, a simple one, as a solution should be. An experimental unit, a fast electron flux. An experimental unit, a fast electron flux. It emerges from an accelerator and speeds past superconducting model, so the Mohammed's tomb instantaneously jumps to the side. Even the eye cannot see its swift motion. Now, imagine a real space vehicle. Its airframe is covered with high temperature superconductor. This is not necessary. This is just like faking it, okay, in my view. Fast electron emitters are blah, 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 blah. Okay, right. Now, then they talk about cold fusion down here. No, blah, blah, blah. But bearing in mind this is in 1992, and they say that this is related to cold fusion. I won't disclose all the secrets, SWIFTBIC says, but we will give you a hint that the new superconductor can be based on plain iron. The trick is in the energy order of the remaining element position. Okay, but what kind of fuel are you going to use to get into space? Will you put a nuclear fusion reactor in the space vehicle, or will you turn to energy of the vacuum? They imply it is the same process as in cold fusion. Neither one of these things. So, they've not got a nuclear or fusion, so that's fission or fusion, and it's not energy from the vacuum. Neither one of these. Vasily Dmitrievich responds. Do you recall another sensation which was trumpeted roughly at the same time as high-temperature superconductivity? It was reported that the so-called cold fusion was discovered in the United States. Then this phenomenon was replicated in many laboratories throughout the world. That it was replicated yet again could not be explained. And why? Simply because they were trying to find the features of fusion reactors where they couldn't be found. I remember these experiments vividly. I even observed one of those at Moscow State University. Now, Shishkin did those experiments. Right? And he talked about them in the video that I shared when they were talking about strange radiation in early 2018 after Yuri Bazhatov died. A jar with a heavy water, 2 live electrodes, and all of a sudden additional heat, as if from nowhere, as if its source is, and if its source is not cold fusion, then what it is? We call this phenomenon energy conversion, and the jar itself is a primitive converter model. Water boils in it. Using the scientific language, we are dealing with in a phase transition. Yet, in this case, the water particles are moving in an orderly fashion due to the electric field. And in such cases, according to our theory, phase transitions result in increasing energy release. The gain is sometimes 2.12 to 4.2 times greater than the work spent. Wait a second. Blah, blah, blah. Are you talking about perpetual motion? No. We are talking about extracting the inner energy of the matter. And can it be used in any way? Be my guest. You can even design power plants instead of the traditional ones. Yet, I must repeat that it would be an extremely primitive one boiling water. And of course, such converter is not suitable for space flights. We have already found an electrical analog of the process during which energy conversion occurs, SWIFTBIC continues. And it can be extracted not from water, but from, say, metal. Suppose you plug our converter into an electric generator. So on the output, you produce 4 times as much energy as it can generate operating in a traditional fashion. You use 1/4 of that for your generating power supply, and the remainder is available for you as a gift from the microcosm. Okay. Yet, in reality, of course, everything is a lot more complicated. In essence, the energy converter consists of several simultaneously operating devices. Its principal elements are a closed... So here we go. Its principal elements are a closed superconductor. A closed superconductor. In my view, it's this closed superconducting structure. We know that the Lockheed Martin patent says it produces solitons, right? Like this. That is a soliton, okay? And we know that it is superconducting because it's coherent of electrons. That is what they say. And this is what produces it. According to it, its principal elements are closed superconductor, and a control system. This is for terrestrial needs. But the electron accelerator connected into the circuit turns the converter into a space propulsor. Using it, one can reach Alpha Centaurus and return back to Earth in 12 years. There you go. I wasn't making it up. Using it, one can reach Alpha Centaurus and return back to Earth in 12 years. Have you been able to replicate this process, at least experimentally? Yes. Otherwise, I wouldn't be telling you anything. In our estimates, the energy concealed in 1 kilogram of iron is quite sufficient for an interstellar journey. Okay? And then I have this lovely image of matter collapse in a John Hutchison system. Okay? I'll play it for you. Why not? Note it's twisting. That's important. It would be twisting because it's going into a vortex, right? So there you have it. I would say you put your iron in here. This is your closed superconducting structure, and it produces this beam, and in the center of the beam, it extracts the hidden energy in the matter. And they are stating very categorically that they got it working, and they've tested it, and it works, right? And 1 kilogram, the energy concealed in 1 kilogram of iron is quite sufficient for an interstellar journey. And using this, you could get 2 Alpha Centauri back in 12 years. Okay, I will include the link to this on the blog for today. And this was from 1992. There's an article by Vladimir Lagovsky. So this is at the end of the Cold War. There we go. Hi, son of Overbook. Neanderthal, phase change equals change in permittivity diffraction to neutrino flux. Well, I think it's sucking the literally what they say. I think it is sucking the hidden energy out of matter, and that could be the chi energy out of matter, in which case it would collapse in on itself. Now, what you've got to do is be able to use that, and I believe that Tesla's Wardenclyffe Tower was able to do that using exactly the same principle. And it's very clear that he knew what he was talking about. And the Sothic triangle there, boom, done. And this will produce vacuum currents, right? So the superconducting clusters will produce and arrange themselves in these plasma globes, and collectively they will act because it's automatically at resonance, right? Because it's a D4D ratio, right? So this is what nature will do. And it was all shown here. You only had to look at the most important scientific document ever. Okay. Yeah, I like it. That's good. So Sonovo Book's got a very good name for this. Energy. Oh dear. Oh dear. You don't want to be near this because, like, when in that zone where it's sucking the energy out, that's it. Your life force will go. Yeah, maybe. Okay, so you found the link to it. Yeah. Okay. It should be still on the CIA site. I just had some Google short links, which now they don't support, so it just went to the CIA website and left us there. But that document that I read, that I remastered because it's not very clear, I read through it and put it into my Steemit. I will copy that Steemit into remote view or just do a link from this blog. Hi, Paul. So Paul's asking, are the simple usable builds? Well, that is what I would like to. The purpose of the MFMP was to show that there is a new prime mover. That was number one, and we called it the new fire. But about 7 years ago, I qualified that by saying new eternal fire because it is exactly how everything works. And then once we understood it is to disseminate the information. That process started early 2017 and really in very vigorous sense late 2017, early 2018. Sorry, late 2017, early 2018. And it was a case of can we get the supporting evidence along the way to show the proof, and I think it's basically done. And we've got to say, look, do we want to continue paying stupid amounts of money, allow people going to wars, use these technologies to have fake earthquakes and fake weather systems and fake volcanoes and all the other absurd things that can be done with this technology? Do we say, oh, stop it right there? We know what the game is. Can we just like get on with having a really nice society and not having to worry about energy and fresh potable water, not having to destroy forests or flood forests to get wood or to produce electricity from hydroelectricity, not having to cover landscapes with bird choppers and use systems to put bird choppers into the sea where you can kill the whales. You know, let's stop all this nonsense. All these toxic chemicals that go into solar panels. Let's not have any of that. Yeah, if you've got them, you did the right thing. You did the right thing under the framework that we have. But I do believe that these technologies are, well, it's not a belief. It's just that they are real. Tesla was not making this up. The truth of it is there. It's there. It's there. This happens, right? This is a real photo, right? And Lockheed Martin is saying, but they just want to patent it. They want to patent it for weapons and for energy for them. But not for you, not for the little people, not so you can do what was given to us by God, right? What we should have a right, okay? But do not expect anyone else to do this for you. We have to do it. We have to do what we can with our capabilities. And I'm telling you, if we don't get this right, it won't matter what you have. It won't matter what you have. Bye-bye. So we have to educate people. We have to educate people. God is real. God is real. And he doesn't intend for us to suffer. But this is the great power. This is the great power. And we should not use it in the way that I believe we're in danger of it being used. Because it has the risk at war levels to knock the Earth off its magnetic anchor. And to destroy the planet, as it says in the Salvatore Pais patents. You know, that's what it can do. It can crack planets. You know, we literally are living in a time where we have the technology to end all suffering and poverty and wars. We have that technology. and you should now explicitly understand it. But it was there in 1992. The Russians had actually taken Tesla seriously, and they clearly know what they're talking about. And honestly, if they are publishing things like this, do you think they would publish that if that's something that they didn't have something well beyond? Do you really think that, you know, this would be even accessible to anyone if this was not a thing that they'd gone well beyond? Do you think that Lockheed Martin would have published their patent saying we can do single bath thermal extraction, we can create matter wave solitons, which are made of superconducting electrons, which are produced by shoulders emitters, which are the same exact thing as the Tesla death ray diagrams from 1933, 1934, right? A little mercury into a vacuum with a high pulse rate, or a fed tungsten wire. Same thing. Sorry. 2032 to 2034, I think the real problem will occur. I'm sorry, you know, I've got kids and everything, so we have to get this right for humanity. And they want to do another big book burning. You can see how they're controlling and trying to get the internet into a state where no one can share anything. We've got a very small window to get this out. Very, very small. It's all hands on deck. I've had to fly under the radar. You know. And to those people that are watching, that know about this technology, how could you? How could you watch people suffer and die? How could you watch this charade that's going on in the world right now? How could you? You are messing with God's toolbox, and you are doing it to harm God's children. God didn't want that. Get off your high horse, stop acting psychopathically, and help us. Good wins in the end. Thank you, Brad. He's donated $12.50, and with the 30% that YouTube takes, that still gives me enough iron to do a trip around the universe. Wonderful. I love it. It's noon. It's noon on O Day. Let's make this the year where we make the sunny summer of O Day, and we create a number of devices that will clean the energy infrastructure and that will prove conclusively that we've been living a lie for thousands of years. A lie for thousands of years. Let's end the usury. Thank you very much. Good night.